Now, forms and reporting, and this is very important too. Now, Access does use drag and drop to create simple reports. They can be shared, they can be programmed, as I said before, and they can be done in many different ways. There is a report wizard, and there is a form wizard, and you can certainly use them to create functional reports very quickly that you can modify later. You can also design reports from scratch. You can drop text boxes and combo boxes right onto the form without having to make a database value for it. Effectively, you don't have to put another column in a database table just to add a text box to that form, which is also very big. Reports can be programmed. They can filter data based on dynamic criteria entered into forms. They can be filtered based on variables. You can have the form itself, and the report itself is basically a mini program. You can type in all sorts of commands. In other words, if you want a certain thing to happen when a form is loaded, or when data is added, or when the value in a form is changed, there are triggers called events that you can program for that. Reports can dynamically display any number of records. That's very flexible. We're going to see that. Unbound controls, an unbound control in Access, and by control I mean a combo box or drop-down box or text box. These are fields that are not bound anywhere in the database, and that's something you can do with Access. Drop a text box in there. It doesn't have to be bound to any database value. You type in the stuff, you type search, and the search works. Now for reports are separate from forms. If I want to have a report for an order, now I just open the report directly. I don't want to do this because this is going to show every order, and I don't want to do that. All right, so let's close that. But let's go back to that orders form, and I will go to... So now if I'm on any one of these orders, it will only open up the report of the order selected. So I go to this one. Yeah, it's boring. It only has one item. This one has order ID 6. And it opens to order ID 6. It shows everything. Now here's something. This is a bit of an issue, having the total all the way down there. And this brings me to another advantage I'm going to show you in a moment. But there's programming in here. And again, I'll go into this code window. Again, don't worry if you don't understand. This is what adds an item to the orders, to order lines, and then whatever item you selected in the dropdown, it's going to add it to that order, item, and then we're going to update the orders table with the total. But you can do all this manually, and you can think of this kind of as a scripting if you want. But Visual Basic is a programming language, and Visual Basic for Applications, or VBA for short, is a version of Visual Basic, a full-fledged programming language that you can use with Access applications. And I'm not going to say it's simple, but it certainly gives you a lot more power than simply working with scripts or macros. Now, the button report, well, the report button itself that I press isn't very complicated. All it's doing is opening the report, but the report is separate from the form. So we're going to open a report called RPT order. That's the one I opened before, and we're going to filter out only that order ID. And so that's how this opens. Now, there's one other thing I want to show you in the report. Again, it's kind of inconvenient to have this grand total all the way at the bottom. And I kind of did this on purpose. Oops. Well, I'm going to open that report in design view. Now, you notice it's pretty sophisticated. We got a report header, a page header, a detail. The detail is where you have the items. So if you have there's only one text box, even though there might be multiple items. And then you have a page footer and a report footer. I don't want to put this grand total in the page footer. I want to put it let's put it in the report footer. See, right now, in page footer, it's always going to go at the bottom of the page. Here, it's going to go at the bottom of the report, even if it doesn't eat up the whole page. We're going to want to leave a little more room than that, but that's the general idea. So now, let's go ahead and close this. We're going to save changes. And now we're going to open the same report as before. But now you see the grand totals up here because of the difference. I want to place this at the bottom of the report, not the bottom of the page. And we have that fine level of control. And by the way, if I have a lot of items, this will display as many items as I have. I don't need to do anything special. So that, oh, well, there's 100 items, but 50 of them are going to be hidden because there's only room for 50. No, this will display as many because that's what this detail section does. This detail section will repeat for however many lines are in that order. Security, again, a very important thing. We kind of touched on this earlier. I mentioned the fact that you can secure it. Again, this requires third-party software, but you can, if you're using this over the web, you can tie Active Directory usernames and passwords and use those as logins to the application. Now, forms and access are the preferred, flexible, and secure way to enter and manage data. So there's this big thing about, well, can you secure data at the column level and not just, table level? Well, no, you can't, but it's generally very bad practice in any event to give database users, access to the tables. You don't want people typing into tables. You really don't want that. You want to enter data through things like forms. Now, when you're doing that, the good news is these forms can be programmed. They can be determined who has access to what field and what data, what format the data has to take. You can enforce certain formats. You can format them as currency. You can format them as an integer or a number or a date or a zip code, and you can enforce these things. You can use their contents to trigger other codes or scripts. So basically what you're talking about is you've got a full software system with all the flexibility rather than just pre-canned scripts. Now, an access form can have an access application can have a login screen to limit access to the database. You can fully implement security. You can completely lock down menus and sidebars and all those things for end users. So you could do anything you want, really, security-wise with access. So it's the amount of programmable security in access is almost unlimited. And for anything it can handle, SQL Server can, because in SQL Server, you can go down to the field level with security. You can base SQL Server logins based on Windows logins. And so basically, if you want to control access to your front-end application, you can, and that application uses data on SQL Server, you can make access to the application dependent on SQL Server logins. Those SQL Server logins can be based on Windows logins and Active Directory. So SQL Server just adds a whole nother level of security, much of which is built into SQL Server. The way we differentiate the security levels in this particular example is that if you are an admin user, you can see anything. So you can see, and we'll see when we log in as admin, you can see and edit the customer and the secret code. If you are a manager, you can edit the customer but cannot see the secret code. And if you are a third level user, just a plain user, the secret code is hidden and you cannot edit the customer. So let's see how this works. I'm going to open the login form and I'm going to enter a username and password of the admin user. I think I got this password correct. Okay, so you see the customer information form opens, and again, it's very simple. But I can scroll through the customers. I can see the codes. I can change the codes. I can change the name and all that stuff. I just can't change the ID because that's an auto number. Let's log in as a manager user. There we go. So now you see the secret code is now hidden. I can still update the customer. And again, this is a very simple example. You might have a larger system where instead of going right to the customer information, this might be the main menu instead, and that might have tabs and forms within that tab. And it doesn't reset the customer the login until after you close the application. It's set up in a very, I set this up to be very simple just for demonstration purposes. Obviously, what you don't want to have happen is then close the customer form. An administrative user logs in, closes this form, and they're still logged in. I mean, you could put a log off button there too. I mean, there's all sorts of fancy things you can do. I just wanted to demonstrate this really quickly. So there's that little bit of protection in there. Okay, so now let's one more login as a regular user. And now you see it's the same as before. The code is still hidden, but now you can't see this, but I'm trying to type in the customer name box, and that's not changing either. I can still view everyone. And of course, you can have all sorts of security. You could have 5, 6, 7 different security levels, although the programming obviously becomes more and more complex as you have all the combinations of what this user could view this things, that user can view that things, and the code can become complicated. The programming can become complicated very quickly. But this was just a quick example to show you how you can protect certain aspects of your application from prying eyes or from people doing damage. So that pretty much gives you an idea of what Access can do. Now, FileMaker Pro, it's quick, simple. If you want to do a quick app, if you're already using it and you're happy with it, that's fine. But if you want something that's less expensive to run, that's more flexible, that's more powerful and customizable, there's really no other way to go for desktop applications than Microsoft Access. I'm David from Winning Solutions. Thanks so much for watching this video. It's been a little longer than most of them, but I hope this helps. Again, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. We hope this video was all the help you needed for your Access database. If you are struggling to create an Access database that does what you need it to do, and just want someone to make that happen for you, that is the business we are in. Our contact information is below the video. You can reach out to us, and we will work with you to determine how long it will take and how much it will cost to get your database up and going. If the time and cost are acceptable to you, WSI will get to work and make your database vision a reality. Perhaps Microsoft.NET or MS SQL Server would be the better choices for your new database, so it can run on your Windows desktop or anywhere in a web browser. WSI will help you make this determination if you like. Again, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day.